Okay, so picking up where we left off, we're about to head up the ladder to never stop firing. One thing that's important to do at the very beginning of this game is to use your knife. Um, it'll conserve ammo, which you need to do that because otherwise you won't have enough ammo later in the game. And attacking these headlesses with your knife works pretty well. It usually interrupts their attack and you won't get hit very often. So right off the bat, we've got a choice of 3 different directions. Usually I would go either right or left, just to be efficient. For this video, I'm going to go down the middle, also just for testing reasons. Yeah, you'll see why later. So usually the trick with the headlesses is to just let them attack. So you know you've got a reasonable amount of time before they attack again, and then you go in with your knife and finish them off. And I'm not using any monster triggers or anything like that. The logic to activate these when you get in visual range of them is all done with Lua. I kind of studied the original game to try to figure out how these things activate and when, and tried to replicate it as best I could. And you'll notice, like right there, he got right up to me and then started moving to the side. That's not something that would happen in the original game. They would usually just, when they get right next to you, they would just completely stop moving, which happens sometimes in this version, but okay, these guys, more important to use a pistol. You see, sometimes the sprites disappear on those monsters. That's just part of the Aleph 1. I don't know, it's just some bug that the renderer has in this engine. So, okay, we've reached this door. It doesn't open. It's not, there's no way to open it right here, so we've kind of hit this dead end. I'm going to rest, which to do that, I hold down my mic button. And it's just like the original game's resting, where you can get attacked as you rest if you're in an area that hasn't been fully cleared yet, or just randomly sometimes a new monster will spawn and attack you. So we kind of hit that dead end, and now we're having to go back to the beginning, which is why I usually would have picked one of the other paths to start on. One thing I didn't talk about in the first video was this resolution I'm using is, 1080p widescreen. The original game only had, 3 or a 4:3 aspect ratio. You could kind of make the window bigger, but so if you want a more authentic experience, you would probably want to keep stick to a resolution that's 4:3. But since I, ported this to Aleph 1, I might as well take advantage of some of the nice things that come with it, and that's higher resolution. So yeah, that headless right there was just kind of walking back and forth, making it kind of harder to stab with the knife than it normally would be. So that's one difference, and there's really not a whole lot I can do about that. The AI just acts differently in this game than it did in the other engine. One thing I do try to do is prevent them from running away from you, because that's something that in the Aleph 1 engine, monsters will walk away from you in some cases, and that never happened in the original Pathways into Darkness. So if I detect a monster is facing away from you, I try to force them to turn back. So that's one part of, Okay, so we got to this chain. The message pops up telling you hit action if you want to pull it, which I did. So I wonder what that chain did. If you remember the door that we went to that was locked, I wonder if something's happened with that. Okay, now here's a headless in an area that we had previously been through. So you can see monsters will spawn randomly as you walk around, just like the original. So just because you've cleared out an area doesn't mean it's totally safe. And again, just to show and kind of test, I'm going to go back to that door and see what that chain did. Okay, so we can see like this door is half open now, and there's a crystal in there. Can't actually get to it. So, okay, the chain did something, but we still haven't gotten what we need, so now to go in the other direction from the start. If I just get impatient and attack them without letting them attack first, good way to get shot. And by the way, I'm playing on the normal difficulty, which should match the original difficulty, which only the original game only had the one difficulty, so. Yeah, and there's that visual glitch again. I don't know why that happens. I'm definitely not trying to speed run through this or anything, so I'm most likely going to just be exploring entire levels, like, kind of 100% exploring everything on all these levels, just for testing purposes and just to show everything. Man, that visual glitch is happening. Seems like a lot more than usual right at the moment. Alright, so I'm kind of low on health here. I'm going to back up to a safe area. Oh, apparently not that safe. So if I were to just rest right up there, there's a good chance I'd be attacked. But if I back up here and then rest, most likely I'll be fine. You'll see like the walls are fairly pixelated. In the OpenGL render, there's a setting to make it kind of smooth it out, which usually you would have on, but first of all, the original game didn't have that smoothing. And the way these textures are kind of set up, they don't tile properly if you don't have that setting. If you turn on the smoothing, like see how this side of the texture is brown and this side's green, what ends up happening is there'll be like a line down the middle here where, you know, the part of the green from this side of the texture is bleeding over just because it's trying to blend everything. So that's why I say it's pretty important to make sure you, like, in the README I'll explain the settings, but anyway, just pointing that out. Okay, so here's another chain. Pulling that one. So now, most likely, that door has opened completely, and we'll be able to go get the yellow crystal. And we've explored the whole map, so that would make sense. And like the original game, when you've got your map open, you can't move. Like, everything freezes in time. So if there are monsters around, they would be frozen. I'm frozen, I can't attack, can't do anything. So it's kind of like the game's paused in a way, which is what happened in the original game. Same if I open my inventory, everything freezes. The only exception to that is if a monster is in the middle of their attack and you do something to, you know, pause the game in that way, their attack will continue. Okay, so here's got the yellow crystal. So as it says, we can stand over a dead person and talk with them using this. And I'm just going to do a little bit of inventory cleanup, move some of these things I don't care about and don't want to scroll through every time into the canvas bag. And we can ready our crystal, and you'll see that blue bar over there is charging up. That's the way all crystals work in this game. When the bar is full, you can then use your crystal. Of course, there's no point right now because there's no dead body. So that was the whole point of this map, was to just get that crystal. Now we can go back to the ground floor where we started. And the state of levels will be preserved. So if I go back to this level I just cleared out, you can see these, you know, the map's already clear. These things are dead here. So that's another thing you don't usually get with this engine. Had to implement all that with Lua. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is stop the video at each level when I can. I figure if I make a bunch of smaller videos, that'll make it easier for someone to find a specific thing. If they get stuck on a specific level, they can jump to it a lot quicker. Just going to heal up, make sure I'm at full health, save the game, and then in the next video we'll explore the next